Stay in the background. I'm okay with it. Good morning, you guys. Happy Friday. I'm so excited for you to join me today because I have an amazing guest who's going to share some great tips and things like that she's learned on her journey. So I do have with me Lindsey Iskierka. Lindsey, welcome to the
Thank you,
call.
Halley. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. I love your background. That
Thank
sliding
you.
door is gorgeous. Or what is that, a wall? Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's a
Door.
sliding barn door. It's my home office at home. Perfect Zoom
It's
background.
very Joanna Gaines of you.
And the plants.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I love it. So Lindsey, introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us, what's your relationship with real estate?
Yeah, so I'm excited to be here, you guys. My name is Lindsey Iskierka. I've been a real estate agent since 2015. And I joined Keller Williams Coastal in, I think, like April of May of 2021. So it was with one brokerage until that point. I now lead the SoCal expansion team of the David Green team. David Green, if you guys are not aware, he is the host of the Bigger Pockets podcast. He is a best-selling author, mega agent in Northern California, someone I looked up to as a real estate investor myself and an agent for a very, very long time. And I had the incredible, I don't even know what to describe it, opportunity to partner with him to start the SoCal expansion team of his team. So I left my previous brokerage, came to Keller Williams Coastal. There was no other option in my mind when I had to switch to Keller. I was like, gladly, and I knew who to call. I called Halley, and we made it happen. So do you want me to go into like kind of production, or what do you think is helpful to share?
Yeah, why not? I mean, share your successes as an individual agent, because you really made your name as an individual agent and kind of forged your own path, and then how that kind of morphed into now. What, describe your team, like how much production you guys are doing?
Sure thing. So as a solo agent, my first year in real estate, I did 10 transactions. So I was proud of that. Worked really hard, just grinding away. Got like rookie of the year for my first year of production. And then as a solo agent for the first like 5 years of my business, while having kids and everything, I was doing generally 1 or 2 transactions a month. On a good month, I would do 3. But I was a top producer in my previous office, and that was all good, but I knew I was capable of so much more. But that amount of workload, especially as a new mom and a wife and everything, was killing me. Like, it was draining. It was so difficult. And I was doing all the things, wearing all the hats, including hats I should never have been wearing. I knew I wanted to start like a team. Team always had like a bad connotation. And I was like, I know this could be different, and I just didn't know how to go about doing that. I went to my previous broker and said, I'm struggling, I need help. They really couldn't help me. Lo and behold, I meet David, and he wanted to expand to SoCal. So we started that partnership after a while of going back and forth. As a solo agent, I usually did like 5 to 8 million on my own, maybe per year, just depending upon the year. I had babies, like I said, I have 2 young kids, back to back pretty much. So in the midst of all that, and just as context, our first like 7 months of our team in 2021, once it was established, we did 25 million. And then year to date, we're just about at, well, we've closed 80 transactions as a team, and we are at 56.5 million. And so we're on track to close up to 60 by the end of the month. And then we'll be on track to our goal of 80 million for the year, which is 20 million every quarter. And we're hitting that even in a shifting market. So it's been a huge blessing, complete 180 of what I was doing in my business beforehand. And I could never imagine going back. And it's been a complete blessing.
Well, and you built this legacy, and you talk about being a mom, and of course we're always so many different things. Just a realtor isn't necessarily our identity, right? We're wives, we're mothers, we're sisters, we're brothers, husbands, people like that on the call. What tips do you maybe have for our moms and people who are hustling, that are trying to make it work while still making sure that they're taking care of their family duties at home?
It's anyone that's claiming a work-life balance is lying. We have to decide what stage of life that we're in and what's worth kind of putting off to the side just for a second. I share this with my team sometimes. There was a time when my daughter and my son were born. They were new little babies. No one was paying me maternity leave. No one was coming to rescue me and give me some check, right? I had to go and make it happen. And I sold a house on my way to have my son in labor in the hospital. I would nurse my daughter, my son, and then go leave and do an open house for 3 hours and cry going, because I did not want to leave my newborn baby. but I had to make it work, right? I'm not saying you need that kind of a grind. Again, I didn't have systems in place. I didn't have help. I didn't have anything like that. But what kept me going was just like, I wanted my kids to be proud of me. I knew it's also okay. And I'm gonna say this to any parent right now. It's also okay to say that you enjoy being a working mom, right? Sometimes that is kind of a, what are you doing? You should be at home, or you should be doing this, or how dare you? It's selfish to go and, pursue a business or grow this thing or build a team or whatever. It is okay. And I tell myself, it's okay for me to admit that I'm fulfilled working. I am fulfilled being of service to other people. That shows my kids that you can make a good living and do good in the world by being of service to other people, right? And if you guys don't follow Ed Milet, I highly suggest you look him up. He's incredible, one of my favorite motivational speakers, and wildly successful businessman and many different assets. And he's also a dad. And he said something to me, I heard it in a podcast, but he's speaking to parents specifically, or any kind of caregiver, if you would, that it's a form of child neglect if the parent does not reach their full potential, right? So if a parent is holding themselves back from what they can achieve, what they can do, and the difference that they can make in this world, if they're doing good work and fulfilling their potential, if they don't hit that, it's a form of child neglect, because by proxy, you're limiting them and their potential, right? And they don't get to see how amazing you truly are. So that just kind of got to me. I was like, gosh, if I hold back, if I don't pursue this, despite what maybe other people might be saying, or the shame I might put on myself, I'm neglecting them if I don't actually do this and grow this as big as it possibly can be. So that's really resonated with me. And be okay to go against the norm, be okay to have people who maybe have self-limiting beliefs on themselves and what they can accomplish. Do not let that affect you. Bottom line.
And it's amazing how external factors can really forge our path sometimes.
Yeah.
And you've always been someone that's been really strong about that, and you do have a really strong, clear message. And one of the ways I know you share your message a lot is through your social media, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So talk to me a little bit about your relationship with social media, how that's working for your real estate business, personally, etc. How do you balance that stuff?
Yeah, so really, I think I love social media because it's where people are, right? It's free drip marketing that's not spamming anybody. They are choosing to follow you, they're choosing to watch your stuff. And it's just a little way just to remind people that you're in the business, that you're working. It's an opportunity to show people that might just think that you're just a realtor, or may have a certain perception of you. I'm not saying put on a fake facade on social media. I'm actually saying the opposite. Don't be afraid to show people who you actually are. I think by showing my kids, by showing, my husband and just different things and struggles that we've gone, why I wanted to build a big business was to get my husband out of law enforcement, right? And I did that. So sharing kind of different relatable stuff of your journey with people makes them feel like they have a little insight to who you are, and it establishes that trust and credibility. So I saw social media as a way to build credibility, and this is true, to build credibility to people who undermined me. Because a lot of people, maybe you guys felt the same way, you get your real estate license and they're thinking, okay, yeah, good luck, we'll see if you last, right? And everyone got into real estate at some point. I got in 2015, but kind of a neutral market at that time, not the pandemic market that we had, but still everyone and their mother was getting into real estate. And they're like, okay, Lindsey, career number 3, let's see how this goes. Watch me. I'm ready to be watch me. I'm going to show you how good I am, and I'm going to show you how much I know. And I utilize Instagram and stories the most to talk about parts of the transaction that perhaps people wouldn't have an insight to unless they're actually in the market. And I got to talk about how I helped the client solve a problem. I was never the star. It was always the client. The client did the hard work. The client succeeded. The client reached their goal. I was just the guide, right? And highlighting them. And I think doing it in that kind of a sense versus what a lot of real estate agents are doing and still doing. I kind of joked about it on my Instagram yesterday. I shared a TikTok thing, I think some realtors get on, or they are more focused on followers and likes and actually providing value to people, and we're seeing the effects of that, right? You see a lot of, influencers in real estate, but very, very few of those people are actually producing, right? So I wanted to show how much I actually did know and how much I was working to people without spamming them. And that's really helped me grow a great business. When I was a solo agent, I would close 6 or 7 transactions from Instagram alone, just random leads that come through.
It's great. And I think it's important that we keep track of those efforts and those numbers, just the way that you so quickly correlated, this is how much I was getting before, this is how much we're getting now, because it is a platform of lead generation. It isn't for everybody. But you do so well. And make sure you guys, if on the call, if you're not following Lindsey on all of her platforms, Lindsey Iskierka Realtor is her IG handle. Please go on there and do, because you have a very natural, authentic way of sharing the service that you provide during a transaction. And when things go wrong, you're great about sharing that as well. Like why do you share those stories?
It's reality. And I think a lot of people here, the sun's kind of in my eyes, I'm gonna raise up here. I think a lot of people fail to see what real estate actually is. They see the glamorized version of it. They see the Selling Sunset version. And I hate that show. I'm sorry. Unpopular opinion. I hate that show because makes people not take it seriously. This is a very, very hard business. And I think by sharing what can go wrong, you're reminding the consumer and the public why we are needed. Why don't go to Redfin? Why don't trust that discount broker is going to screw you over? This is why you need me. And so I tell my agents, when you're talking to a lead, you have to have the conviction that if you don't use me, then when things go wrong, you're going to get screwed over. They're not going to treat you the way that I'm going to treat you. They're not going to advocate for you. So by talking about what goes wrong, it reaffirms our job security. It reaffirms why we are here and how we solve problems, because our clients don't get to see a lot of the back end stuff that we actually truly do. We put on a happy face. They think we're overpaid, right? It's like, no, let's actually show you truly what we do in the background. We shield you from the stuff that we actually do.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. So let's talk a little bit about another passion of yours, which is wealth building and real estate investing, right? How did you get into that? Any tips and things for people on the call that are interested in growing their wealth?
Oh, buy real estate, guys. Yeah, it's I think that's another thing too. Like you mentioned earlier, we're not just realtors, we're caregivers, we're spouses, we're partners, we're all those things. I am a real estate nerd. I love it. Like it's such a passion of mine. If it was a passion of mine before I even got my license, I got my license like a side step to maybe help the flippers that I was meeting to help sell their houses at the end of it. But I fell in love with retail real estate. I fell in love with the marriage, if you would, of wealth building, but then also like retail, like helping people actually achieve their real estate goals, buying a house for their family or selling or, whatever it might be. If I could give any advice, start to immerse yourself in that language. I think especially in a shifting market, you want to make sure that you can offer a variety of services to a variety of different clients. If prices drop, if we have some sort of a market, correction or whatever, who's going to be buying real estate? It's going to be investors, right? And if interest rates are still high and prices, are kind of doing crazy things, investors are always still going to buy real estate. So if you know how to speak to investors, if you know the language, if you understand what they're trying to accomplish, if you're doing it yourself, you open your possibilities of your wealth building so much more. But on top of that, I think just one of the best ways, like I got started, was called house hacking. If you guys don't know what this is, it's another great way to share with your first-time home buyers who are afraid of getting a mortgage versus renting. They're like, oh, I can pay $2,500 a month in rent. Why would I have a $4,000 mortgage? Well, let me share with you how you can actually lower your cost of living. It's by house hacking. You buy a bigger home than what you need and you rent out the spaces you're not using. That could be a single family home with extra bedrooms. It could be a duplex, triplex, quadruplex. I got started with a triplex. I used a VA 0-down loan and was able to buy a triplex and house hacked it. Which we rented out the duplex, and that was a catalyst that set off our portfolio. From that, we were able to buy a lot of properties out of state as rental properties. Those were okay. They were okay. I'm happy to share my. Some people are very successful in out-of-state investing in rental properties, and that's great. Ours were all right, but we got hit by the pandemic really hard. Our tenants didn't pay. We could not evict, and they trashed our houses. We're selling them to a 1031 exchange and now buying short-term rentals. So now I'm a short-term rental nerd. I love them. I nerd out when I get to help clients buy those. So again, by investing in real estate myself, I'm such a better resource when I meet clients. And if they're looking to accomplish a certain goal, real estate related, I can help them. And I have the confidence and competence to actually be able to do that and do it well and feel like I know what I'm doing, like guide you along the way versus, well, I don't know, this house is nice, you want to buy it? It's where if we don't have more skill sets in that regard, actually helping them accomplish their individual goals, we're limiting ourselves. So check out Bigger Pockets, listen to podcasts, read books on real estate investing, find out what they're looking for, and maybe open up your horizons, and you might be able to find that you can sustain better if you can serve that population if and when the market shifts.
And you and your team both invest out of state, right? A lot of your teammates do. So explain a little bit about that thought process as well.
Yeah, so I'll typically recommend that a client, let's just say, or an agent, even someone that lives here, if they're wondering, okay, I've got, $50,000 to buy a home, should I buy in California? Should I buy a rental property out of state and keep on renting? I'll always tell them house hack here first. Lower your cost of living, stop renting, buy your house here. I'll help you get rental income from your tenants and, really make this house hack work. It's not your forever home. This is a stepping stone, because if people use 25% down to buy out of state, then they have to save up another 25% to buy another home out of state. That house isn't appreciating like California real estate does. They're trying to scale and they just don't know what the next step is, versus if you're house hacking, lowering cost of living, building wealth. It's also really good. You guys are all real estate professionals. So you are already ahead of where most people want to be if they want to invest in real estate. You can take advantage of so many tax benefits. So if you already own a primary home, fantastic. You can look at buying a short-term rental for cash flow. You can look at buying out of state, but more people are kind of pivoting in terms of like long-term rentals into short-term rentals just because of what's going on. But I think it just depends upon people's goals, people's comfort level. Some people are not comfortable investing out of state. They kind of want their properties to be within driving distance if something goes wrong or whatever. But some people are okay with that. And I never saw the houses that I bought out of state, still haven't seen them. They're like, where's this or what's this? I'm like, I have no freaking idea. Ask my property manager. I don't know. I can't even tell you that's my house or not. I don't know. But it served its purpose. I think every investment strategy, whatever they do, serves its individual purpose. It's really up to the investor and what they're comfortable with. Now that there's different loan products that help people in our position to buy short-term rentals and make them work, more people are into that versus just out-of-state investing.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing. So let's talk a little bit about pivoting and shifting, and let's talk about the market, right? So, we know things are changing. You shared at the beginning of the call that when you first got in, you got into a neutral market, and your first year in the business is still doing 10 deals a year. So I definitely think it's not something we should gawk at, a more neutral market. We're still in a strong seller's market. Yes. But what do you tell your clients? What do you tell your people on your team when they say, how's the market? Is now the time to buy or sell?
Good question. So I'll tell my clients, this is very true. I'm buying more real estate this year than I ever have. I'm buying more volume in real estate than I ever have. I'm utilizing the tools that we have as agents to get myself great deals. David Green has bought 17 houses in the last 6 weeks. He sold 20 of his Florida properties and is buying 17 or 18 now of luxury short-term rentals. More recession-resistant areas where if we have a massive recession, it's going to hurt people. My house in Alabama, my houses in Missouri are probably going to get hit harder than my luxury Airbnb in Joshua Tree. I may not have full bookings, but I'm going to still be able to sustain in cash flow versus my tenant losing their job, not being able to pay rent, or I can't raise rent. My property values dropped and whatnot. So what I tell my clients is I'm buying, right? You date the interest rate, you marry the house, right? So if they're like, oh, I think I want to wait till rates drop, or I want to wait, whatever. I'm like, okay. Well, what do you think is going to happen if rates drop? I'll roll with Halley a little bit. Halley, I understand you want to wait. Interest rates are much higher than we've seen in recent years. I totally understand. I'm there with you. I'm buying myself. If rates do drop sometime in the future, what do you think is going to happen?
We can probably afford more of a house than we could now.
Just like a lot of other people, right? So that means more people are going to flood the market, and that means more competition. That means you're going to have to offer more again. That means I'm going to have to encourage you to waive your appraisal contingency again. Shorten your inspection, not ask for any repairs, not get any seller credits. You don't have the credits to close on the house, or you don't have the funds to close on the house, you cannot buy the house. We're going to be back into that market. Would you rather pay more in purchase price that you cannot change, Or would you rather pay a little bit more in interest rate that you can refinance at a later time if they drop? What sounds better?
Well, yeah, obviously, you know, changing my interest rate, right? That sounds
Exactly.
better. Yeah.
No one took 18% interest rate for 30 years, right?
Right,
My parents
right,
bought
right.
an 18% interest rate. They never took that for 30 years. They got down to like the 2s and the 3s and everything like that, but they locked in that house at 300,000. It's now worth 1.2, you know? So if they had waited, they would probably have to pay more. I don't want to put you back in the market that we were at 6 months ago where I couldn't negotiate for you. Today, I'm able to negotiate a better price for you. Seller credits, all your contingencies in place, not shortening anything. And the seller, guess what? They're panicking because they're reading the click for bait headlines saying the sky is falling. Oh no, there's no buyers in the market. No, they're not reading the article. They are just looking at the headline. So I get to take advantage of the seller's fear to get you a better deal. How's that sound? So trying to talk to clients about, why it's probably a better idea to get in now where it's a softening in prices. This is, that house that they're paying $750 now probably would have been $820 by now if prices were still doing what they were doing. And then you can't lower your purchase price, but we can lower your interest rate to make it better if rates drop. And if rates continue to increase, which they could, no one actually really knows. If rates continue to increase, I personally as a buyer will kick myself for not buying when I could. Because if rates are 9% or 10%, 6% will look real good. And I'll wish I took action at that point. Does that make sense?
I love that. Oh yeah, that was perfect, Lindsay. It was great. And you're always good about asking, and the interest rates right now, they're higher than they were before, but we were in the middle of a global pandemic. I mean, that's why they were so low, right? We really don't want to go back to that lifestyle and uncertainty and how it affected everything. And then, we've talked about this before because we've learned this, that, 1% interest rate increase on just a $500,000 house means $100,000 more dollars over the lifetime of the loan.
Yes.
And so when we're seeing these numbers increase the way you so passionately gave that, I love it. It makes you feel a lot of confidence. I think that's important.
And I think just like as a buyer myself, like this is what I'm thinking. I'll tell them like, I'm right in here with you. I locked in 6.99% interest rate. I didn't like that, but I'm like, well, if it goes up, and the numbers still work, right? The numbers still work on the houses that I'm buying. So I'm going to buy it because if they go up, I'll be like, dang, I wish I would have gotten under 7%. That's for a non-QM loan product, guys. It's not conventional interest rates. But yeah, it's just, I think when you have the conviction, you're like, this is what I'm doing. And I truly in my heart believe that, if you wait and we're just gambling that rates might drop and at some point, then I've got to compete for you again. No one liked that market. No one liked when buyers had like no rights in a transaction. I did not like telling my clients like, sorry, yeah, it is what it is. If you want the house, this is what it's going to take. Like that was hard as a fiduciary. And that should have made everyone on this call as a fiduciary. Yeah, you want to close a deal, but like, is your client getting screwed over? They might, it just wasn't a good feeling. I love the market that we're in where both sides have a common goal. Buyer wants to buy, but they want it to make sense. Seller wants to sell. They're a bit afraid. And someone I think asked who about convincing them to sell.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah. What do you tell your sellers?
We may be on a downward trajectory. We may have hit the peak. Most sellers were on the sidelines. They were like, let's see what happens. Maybe we hit the peak. I think we hit the peak. Right. However, I had to bring this up with a client that I have right now in escrow where I sold their house in Long Beach. They asked me a year ago what they could get for a little 2-bedroom, one bath house in Wrigley. I sent them a CMA for $650. This was July 2021. Fast forward to August 2022. I'm telling them, hey, I think we could probably list your house for like $750 or so. We listed $765. They saw their neighbor's house in the Spanish style sell for $800,000. And they're like, oh, I want 800. No, this is. I'm like, you're still $100,000 higher than what I told you a year ago. Here's a CMA that I sent you a year ago. I literally did this because they were hemming and hawing over an offer at $745. I was like, a year ago, I told you can get $650 for this house. Now we're getting you an offer for $745. 1 year later, this is great. And things may continue to go down. We don't know. I would hate for you to feel like you have to dip into your net profit more because rates increase and buyers are going to want more closing cost credits because, there's more inventory, so you have to lower your price more. Just different things like that. We may have hit the peak. I don't know how low it's going to go. I don't know, if we're going to be leveling out or if we're actually going to dip. No one actually knows. So if you're thinking about selling, it's probably a good idea to see, while buyers are still able to afford this price point based upon these comparable sales here, I can list your house for this. And if anyone can get you this price, it's me. If not, then I fear you might wish that you had sold when you could have.
Well, and I think you said a good string of words, which is net profit. We have to shift that conversation away from purchase price and into what they're actually netting, because we know there's so many other financial factors that go into a transaction, not just the purchase price.
Yep. You'll see discount brokerages and all that kind of stuff go right out the door when it actually takes skills to sell a house again. And we're getting to that point, right? Some of our listings, we're having to get creative. We're having to really go above and beyond what anyone, houses are not selling themselves anymore. You guys ever realize that listing agents are calling you back, asking for feedback? Hey, FYI, I had to tell every listing agent show one of my houses, the seller's offering a 3% commission now until 9/20 or whatever it is, like take advantage. And he'll also do a 2-1 buy down program, so your client gets a better interest rate. Take the credit for that and tell your client that you're getting them a great deal. When I know the seller's going to offer this, like we're having to get more creative like that, and that is good. That's very, very good. But it's going to take more skills to do that. And so you're going to see the 1%ers and 2%ers going away, because you can't just do the 3 P's of real estate, which is put a sign in the yard, put it on the MLS, and pray it sells. Those days are gone.
List and pray, the old technique.
Yeah, like 30 offers the first weekend of the open house. Oh, great. I sold my house over list price. Yeah. Congratulations, realtor. Yeah.
I know, good job. But again, there's more opportunities. There's more open houses. There's, it's not quite as competitive when you're placing offers. But from what I hear from most listings, and I don't know if you're seeing this on yours, they're still getting multiple offers, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them are. Yeah.
And even so, like not getting offers in a few days. Like I have a listing right now in Lakewood, and I'm having conversations with agents who have like interested buyers over like the course of the week. Like buyers are just taking their time to really work out the numbers, to really make sure they want to write an offer. It's not that no one's looking. It's not that anyone is, not interested in the house. It's just taking them a little bit longer to write the offer. I'd rather have that than emotional offers coming in that buyers go, oh, it's just kidding, I don't think we can actually do this. And then they just back out anyway. I'd rather have more methodical offers submitted and have them actually, be secure in what they're offering, find a win-win for everybody, get the deal closed. So it's a good market. You just have to know how to set the expectations for your client and say, this is good. I would hold open houses for 4 or 5 weeks before we ever got an offer on one listing. Like that's normal. This is good.
I know, it is a good shift. It's all about your perspective, right? Taking the facts, data, and then being able to offer that perspective. That's what our clients, really are hiring us for, right? Is that experience. Lindsey, I know we're almost about out of time. Anything else you want to share with the group? Tips, things, last words? Yeah,
I teach a lot with my my team. So sorry guys, if I get into teaching mode or training mode, I can't help it sometimes. I love this. And there's successful agents in every single market, right? I think if any of you guys went to Mega Camp, I was there and it was fantastic. My first killer event, and I loved it. I was nerding out the whole time. What I took from it was basically nothing's changing. Nothing's different. We have to go back to the basics. We have to go back to the point where every lead that you meet, they're probably about 6 months out. Right, the times of like meeting somebody and they're like, I need to buy now, and meeting people and like getting into contracts right away is probably done. We have to go back to the basics of building a database, of nurturing leads, harnessing relationships, providing value for people, working intentionally on our skills to how to overcome and battle objections and guide people to a decision. Right, it's not a frantic market anymore, and that's a good thing. But some people just don't know anything different if they've only been in real estate for 2 years, 2.5 years. And so just be intentional and proactive about boosting up your skills and learn from agents who have been in the business for 7, 8, 9, 10 years plus and have been through different market cycles. I stayed my veteran for 7 years. We were in the neutral market, then we went went way up, but I still got started in like more of a neutral market. So I know I was trained on the basics. And so I'm trying to really teach that to my team, making sure that they know how to sell houses in any market. People are going to buy or sell in any market. The ability to adapt your business model, to adapt your skills, and to pivot is going to make or break an agent's success.
I love that. You guys, Lindsey Iskierka, thank you so much, Lindsey, for joining us and everything that you shared. I hope you guys got something out of this. I know I did. I always appreciate our conversations. Make sure you follow her on all of her social medias and the Facebook's pages and the Instagramsies and
I'm not on TikTok and I'm not on Twitter, but I'm on everything else.
Like Facebook and Instagram. There you go. But you guys make this a happy and productive week. Again, the replay is going to be available on our YouTube channel later. Thank you again, Lindsey. Have a good Friday.
Appreciate you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.